speakers from Emtec here today who will be giving you a first-hand look at the latest features of Oracle HCM Cloud. Danielle Carey is the Director of HCM Growth and Innovation here at Emtec, and Mike Duncan is the Senior HCM Delivery Manager here at Emtec. Welcome again, everyone, and I will now turn it over to you, Joseph.
Thank you very much. My name is Joe Sparks. I'm an Oracle Application Sales Executive. I do financials, supply chain, and HR. And today we'll be looking at the HCM Cloud, the entire application suite from hiring and onboarding all the way through core HR functions. And I just want to thank you guys at Emtec for putting together the webinar and showing everybody about it. And I encourage everyone to ask questions and turn it over to you, Danielle. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, and thanks to everybody for taking time out of your day to join us for this demo. Today, I will do an overview of the Oracle products within the HCM area, and also go through the introductions of both myself, Danielle Carey, as well as Mike will do an introduction, and then we'll each do a demonstration of recruiting and onboarding, as well as some of the features within the HCM Cloud products, followed by a question and answering. As we move into the discussion of the Oracle HCM Cloud, note that we only have about 45 minutes to go through this discussion in order to save time for questions and answers. We do want to recognize that there are a lot of areas that you can implement within the cloud products. Today we're only talking about the first section over here on the right of the screen. But this is a full lifecycle product that has many different functionalities that can benefit your business. Here at Emtec, we're a full-service implementation consultant that is a platinum partner within Oracle. We do provide advisory services, which help you both pick products within the ERP and HCM products, as well as provide you implementation services and infrastructure background. This is a full view of some of the product focuses we do have within the system or within our consultant resources. We do work with Oracle ERP as well as the HCM. As you will see in the product, and as we'll talk to a little bit in the product, this is a full integrated suite, although we're only focusing within the HCM. So you will be able to use your cloud ERP as well as PBCS and VIX, the business intelligence. And we also are a certified provider of NetSuite products. We do also support legacy systems such as PeopleSoft and EBS and Hyperion, as well as Oracle Utilities. Within Emtec, we believe in what we implement because we have actually taken the opportunity to implement the Oracle Cloud products in-house, and we do run our business on it, not just the HCM areas, but also within EPM and the Oracle Financials. So moving on, a little bit about myself. My name is Danielle Carey. I'm the Director of HCM Growth and Innovation here at Emtec. I'm Oracle HCM certified within the cloud, and I have been working in the Oracle HCM products since 2001, starting off with the EBS legacy system, and I've moved into working with the cloud in 2014. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mike for his introduction and demonstration.
Hello, everyone. This is Mike Duncan. I'm Senior Delivery Manager here at Emtec. I've been working on the Taleo Business Edition product for over 10 years. During that time, I've done a little over 1,500 implementations. So definitely know how to get through Taleo, and hopefully can provide you a good overview demo today. If you can give me 1 second here, we'll get my screen sharing started. Okay, today I'm going to go through the basics of recruit and onboard As we go through, we'll do a quick demo of what it looks like to create requisitions, how to get your candidates to apply to those requisitions, and then we're going to hire somebody and move them through the onboarding process. To get started, when you first log into the Recruit module, you will see a My View screen. My View screen can be switched over to a dashboard type style, or you can use the My View style as well. With the My View, this is what is going to really run the users the day that is logged in. So all of the things that you see on the My View screen are user specific, including any calendar events that you might have scheduled, whether that is an event like today's webinar, or maybe it's an interview that you might have scheduled through Taleo as well. As we scroll down, you can see how that gets broken up into interviews and then also into things that require action. So if a person is set up to be an approver for offer letters or for requisitions, they will show up in this waiting my action recruit area. Also, any requisitions that are in a current open or waiting for approval status will be right here on the My View screen. Really nice and easy for your user to be able to get to their requisitions without having to go search for the requisitions on the Requisitions tab. We're going to jump into creating a requisition really quick here. There are a couple of different ways to create requisitions. We have the ability to create a new requisition from scratch, so you complete the entire form as you're filling that out, or for maybe our hiring managers or other specific restricted users that we might have into the system that are going to be opening up requisitions, we have what we call a job library. A job library is just a set of templates that we're going to use that are available for your user to go ahead and open up a new requisition. Within our templates, we would go to that job library, be able to find the template that we like that will have all of the information that we're going to need for a requisition, or most of the information that we might need for a requisition. Once they find that template that they like, they just go ahead and click on Create Requisition, and then we go ahead and start filling out the requisition form for all of the different pieces that might be missing. Again, these are specific to each requisition. So when you are setting up your requisitions, you'll find that you have statuses, owners, requisition recruiters, hiring managers. Quick overview of how those work. Requisition owners would be anybody that would need to have full access to this requisition. So any user that is going to actually be working with the requisition and the candidates attached to that requisition. You can have as many owners for a requisition as you have users in the system. So maybe you have an entire recruiting department that has more, 5 users or more, and you want to be able to have them all have access to the same requisition. It's just a matter of going in and clicking on Add Remove, and then finding the users that you would like to have access. Requisition recruiter is a single user that we would choose to be the lead recruiter for this requisition. So we would just go ahead and choose that person. Same with hiring manager. We always want to be able to track who our hiring manager is for this particular requisition. So we would just go through and find our hiring manager. Okay. We do set up multiple workflows in Taleo. Workflows being the actual hiring process that you're putting your candidates through when they apply to one of these requisitions. So whether or not that requisition requires multiple in-person interviews or maybe some additional testing or whatever the case may be, we can set those up so that when you create your requisition, you can choose the appropriate workflow for that rec. Job codes are always used for internal job coding. If you do not use a job code, the system will automatically generate one for you. I'm just going to go through and fill out a couple of pieces of information here. So we're going to get our department, we're going to get our EEO categories for reporting purposes, employment duration, again, for employment purposes, anything that we want to be tracking. These are all customizable forms, so if there are pieces of information that you wish you were tracking, we can definitely set those up in Taleo as custom fields for custom forms. Okay. We do allow agencies to log in, so agencies can be set up if you're using a recruitment agency or a temporary agency. We do have, can set those up as users of Taleo, so they log into Taleo just like you would. When they get into Taleo, they would only be able to see the requisitions that you have assigned to them They're not able to search your candidate database. They're not able to look at other requisitions, only the requisitions that you assign to them. At that point, they would be able to submit candidates to that requisition. And then once the candidate has been submitted to that requisition, the agency no longer has control over that candidate record, so they can't go in and make changes or remove them. With the recruiting module, we do have some active hire controls or some ways to automate certain processes. Sometimes people will open up a requisition and then in that requisition, they really want to hire 5 people for the entire requisition. Rather than setting up 5 different requisitions, they're only going to set up 1 and then be able to put in a number of openings of 5. As we put in those openings, what we can do is start having the system do different things as we start hiring. So first off, whenever we hire a candidate, we always want to be able to fill in the hire date automatically for us. Just saves us a few clicks, so you don't have to go back to the candidate's record and add in a hire date and a start date. The hire date will automatically be put in when you move them to a hired status. As we start hiring people for this requisition, we're going to start counting down that number, and eventually we're going to get to 0. And when we get to 0, this is where we can have some automation done. All of these are things that are optional, so you don't have to have the system do some of this automated for you, but sometimes it is nice. So emailing all of the non-hired candidates, so anybody that isn't in a hired status, wasn't previously rejected, we can send out an email when we get to 0 openings that says, thank you for applying, but we filled the position. Please come back and apply for other positions later. We also can change all of the statuses of our non-hired candidates. Again, anybody that's not in a hired status or previously rejected, we can have the system automatically move them to a not selected status, so you don't need to go into each individual candidate and change their status or disposition. Most importantly, we have the ability to change the status of the posting when we get to 0 openings. This is going to automatically remove the requisition from your careers site so that you're not getting candidates applying for a position that's already been filled. Okay. Again, these are all optional, so there are times when you don't want to send out an automated email, maybe those higher level positions where we want to make sure that we get a little bit more personal of an email. When we get to our requisitions posting section, these are ways for us to post to the Oracle hosted careers centers. With these career centers, this is a way for your candidates to apply. They are mobile enabled. So if they are on a cell phone or an iPad or whatever their mobile device might be, the screen will shrink down to fit the size of whatever device it is they're using, so that they don't have to do the scroll left to right. When we post, we can set up as many of these career centers as we would like. So when we're doing configuration, you could set up external, internal. Maybe you have a college posting site that you want to use. With each one of these different career centers, we are able to associate specific application forms. So with our externals, we might want to have a more inclusive application form for them to fill out, where with our internal employees, we already know a lot about them, so we can have a different type of application form for them. With these, they do have unique URLs that are assigned to those career centers, so you can put the link out on your public website for search openings or career opportunities, however you have it labeled, that would then point them back to the Oracle product so that they can go ahead and start applying. Same with the internal, that is going to be a separate URL that you would be able to put on your intranet, put it out on your employee websites, email it out to your employees, however you'd like to disperse that. When we set up these career centers, we do have the ability to choose effective posting dates and on posting dates. So maybe you want to post something internally for a week or 2 before it can be posted externally. That's just a matter of going in and putting in the dates of when you want those to actually be posted or on posted. Job descriptions are very easy to create in Oracle. We can go ahead and set those up using the editor that's built into Taleo, or if you're already creating your job descriptions in Microsoft Word, those can be done in Microsoft Word and then easily copied over and using the paste from Word icon, which will keep all of your formatting. So if you're used to using Word, that's probably the place to start. As we scroll down on the screen, we see that we have an approver section. With the approver section, this is where we can choose who are going to need to be the approvers for a requisition or any offers made for this requisition. With our approvers, we are able to add in multiple approvers. So if you wanted to put in 4 or 5 different approvers, you definitely could do that just by selecting them and moving them to the list. They do work in sequential order, so if you do have multiple approvers, the first person in the list will get an email letting them know that they need to approve or reject, and then once they approve, the second person in the list, and so on. The idea works the same with offer approvers, so we can have multiple offer approvers. So again, your higher level approvers would be at the bottom of your list, and they would work in sequential order. Once we save a requisition, that requisition notification will go out for approvals to your users that you have selected as approvers for this particular rec. When they get that email, they'll be able to just go ahead and click on a link to approve or reject, or once they've, if they're logged into Taleo, they can do that from their My View. So if we go to the My View screen here, I can scroll down and see that I have a requisition waiting for approval, okay, waiting for action. At this point, I can go ahead and approve or reject, and when I approve, the requisition will automatically be moved to an open status and posted on our Career Center. We do have the ability to add in additional screening questions, so if we do go into that requisition that we've created, we can add in additional screening questions that are not already included on your general application form. These questions can be used to rank your candidates, which is really important to let the system do a little bit of ranking for you so that you don't have to go through each candidate and you can talk to the people that have the highest rankings, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like from a candidate's perspective. If you give me 1 second here, let me get that screen to open. What you're seeing here is our fully mobile enabled Career Center. With this fully mobile enabled, you can see how that works on our desktop just by scrunching down and seeing that we lose that side-to-side scrolling so that everything is all in whatever size screen we have to fit. I'm going to do it in desktop mode just so we can see real quick. Within this search screen, your candidates will have the ability to either do a search where they can just go in and do a quick search based off of location or description keywords or any other fields that we might want to put in here from our requisition form. If a candidate decides that they don't want to do that kind of a search, they can just go ahead and click on the positions open link and see all of the positions that are available for them to apply to. As we go through, we can see that I've got a couple of different requisitions available. Candidate will then be able to view that requisition and see all of the details, including the job description. And at that point, they can decide whether or not they want to apply for it, or maybe they know somebody that should, and they can email it that way. I'm going to go ahead and apply for this position. When we set up this current Career Center, we set it up to keep it very simple for your candidates. With our very long application forms that we want our candidates to fill out at some point during the process, what we do is we break that down into what we can call a 2-tier application process. The first tier being what we see today and what we're going to go through, where it's just going to be a very simplified application form. We're getting basic information from that candidate so that we can decide if it's somebody we should move forward with. If it is somebody that we decide that we want to move forward with, we would just go ahead and send them a quick email from Taleo, letting them know that they need to go ahead and fill out the full application form. So if you give me just 1 second here, I'm going to go ahead and set up my candidate. Candidates will be putting in their email address. That is going to be their unique identifier, as well as creating their own password so that they can come back and apply for other positions later on without having to fill out the full application form again. This also allows them to come back and update their information. So maybe they have a new resume that they want to have in your hands. They can go ahead and do it from there. Our second step in this first tier of the application form is to go ahead and fill out all of our personal information. At this point, we have the ability to use a LinkedIn profile to populate a lot of this information, or we can upload a resume. When we upload our resume, we do have the ability to upload from different spots. So we are on a mobile device maybe, and don't always have all those files stored locally. So that's where we can go in and use a Google Drive or a Dropbox. In this case, I'm going to use my local device. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a resume here, and we're going to let the system start parsing it. Once the system has an opportunity to go through and parse that resume, it's going to pull out some basic contact information, as long as it was included in the resume, as well as education or employment history. So as we can see, Jack's application form got filled in mostly for him, and we can go through and fill out any other pieces that we might need. I'm just going to go ahead and fill out some basic information. So are we authorized to work in this country? Do we have any felonies? And then we can go ahead to our next step. Our next step is where we're going to be able to force a requirement of a resume. So if they didn't already upload their resume, we can either have a resume be required or optional at this point. Candidates also have the ability to add in different attachments. Maybe they have a letter of recommendation that they'd like you to see, or a certificate that they'd like you to see. They can always go ahead and add those in as well. Okay. Candidates can save a draft of their application form at any point. So if a candidate does decide that I don't have time to fill out this right now, they can go ahead and save the draft and come on back later using their email address and the password that they created when they originally started this application process. We can see that some of my employment history made it into this for me. It's already been filled out, and that came from parsing of the resume. They are able to add additional work histories, and that is set as a customization as to how many work histories that they are required to give you and how many they can provide. So we could say we want to require at least one employment history, but we'll allow you to tell us up to 20 employment histories. Same with education history. We can require one, or we can allow them to fill out up to 20. We do have e-signatures within Oracle, so this is a quick way to get a candidate sign off. Sometimes these are a little bit longer of a statement. Maybe it's an applicant statement, basically just saying that everything that they put on their application form is true. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out as if I was John. They do have to type in their name, and I have to pick today's date. When they do the e-signature date, they're only allowed to pick today's date. They can't post or predate. And we give them an opportunity to review their application form if they want by expanding. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Now the process isn't over at this point. Now we may have voluntary EEO questions that come up after this. This is held separately from the application form, so it's not as part of the application form. It does come after sign off, and this is where they can go through and give you any of their EEO information should they choose to provide that. Again, voluntary EEO, so nothing is required here. They could just go through and sign off on it at this point. Once a candidate has submitted their application form, they will receive an email letting them know that their application form has been received, and then they're able to move forward from that point. So let's go take a look at what it looks like from internal. So when we're in Taleo as a user, we can go through and see our requisitions, and when we look at our requisitions here in our list, we can see that we have a new candidate in here. To see that new candidate, I would just go into that requisition and then click on candidates. And this is going to show us our new candidate and where they are within the process. To get more detailed information, we're just going to go ahead and click on the candidate's name. And when we click on the candidate's name, we're able to see the full amount of information that has been provided at this point. Under our requisition summary section, this will show us all requisitions that the candidate has applied to and where they are within the hiring process. So we can see that this candidate is a new applicant and we haven't done anything with them. So under our next steps, this is where we get to decide how we want to move forward. We can either look at their information and say, not minimally qualified and reject them, or we can start moving them through the process and do a phone screen. As we do our phone screens or any other movements throughout the requisition, we can see how that works. Okay. Our next step after a phone screen is maybe to invite them to fill out the full application form before we move forward through the rest of the process. So we can get them to fill out the full application form, or maybe the phone screen didn't go well and we want to reject them. I'm going to skip a few steps in this process, so if you give me just 1 second, I am going to go ahead and get this candidate moved through the process. So we invite them to fill out a full application form. They fill out the full application form. We go through some interviewing. We do pre-employment, which is going to be background checks, drug tests, things like that. And then we get to do an offer. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this person to an offer extended status right now so that we know that we need to go ahead and create an offer for this person. As we go through and create our offer, what we would do is just scroll down within the candidate's record to the offer section, and in the offer section, click on new offer. This is where we'll be able to go in and choose what requisition we're making the offer for and the template that we want to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill this out real quick, and we'll put in all of the information that's going to be required for our offer letter. Expiration dates, we are able to set expiration dates for this. So if a candidate doesn't respond in a particular time, that offer can be voided. So we'll go ahead and say that this candidate needs to give us an answer by the 24th. So we're giving them 1 week. We're going to give them a start date of, say, the 29th. We have the ability to email out our offers from Taleo, where we can have them do a review and e-sign, which we actually send it to them. They're going to get an email letting them know that they have an offer that they can accept or decline. Once they get through that offer, then they can electronically sign that offer letter. So now that our offer is created, we're just going to go back to our offer section, and we can go ahead and submit it for approval. This is getting the internal approvers taken care of. And once those are approved, then we can go ahead and email that out to our candidate. So give me 1 more second here while I approve. All of this is tracked in Taleo and reportable. So if you are finding that you have approvers that aren't approving fast enough, those are easy to see when those don't get approved. Our next step here is to just go ahead and email this offer out to our candidate. And when we send that email offer out to our candidate, they're again going to be able to accept that offer. So let's move forward. We're running out of a little bit of time here on this, so I'm going to just go ahead and jump to the next piece here where we're actually going to hire this candidate. When we hire our candidate after they accepted our offer, we are going to go ahead and create an employee record. This is what's going to start our onboarding process. When we create our employee record, we are going to have to fill out a few pieces of information just to make sure that everything is correct. Hire date and start date are how we decide when things are going to be due. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and save that. Oops, grab a manager real quick. Now that we have our new employee, at this point we can go ahead and start assigning out to our new employee all of the different things that we want them to complete. We can go into all employees, we can sort it down by just our active employees, and then we can go ahead and start assigning out our different onboarding materials. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to an employed status. And once we move them to an employed status, we are able to start assigning out our different activities. With our activities, once activities are completed, you would be able to see those within Oracle and see where they have been completed and what is left to be completed. So once we go ahead and assign this out, I am going to just go ahead and save this and then turn this over to Danielle so that she can start talking about the rest of the HCM product. Okay. All right, Danielle, you should be presenter at this point.
Yes, thanks, Mike. So I'll finish the process that Mike has started with Jack Oliver in a few minutes. But before I started on that, I wanted to talk a little bit about who I am today. I'm signed into the cloud here as Robert Jackman. Robert Jackman is an employee, he is a manager, and he's an HR manager. What that means is he has access or has been given a set of icons on the bottom of our screen based upon his functionality within the business. This is solely based upon his role within the organization and some roles-based security that is provided. So if you had something like a AP manager or an accounts payable manager, you might also have additional roles there. But as an HR generalist, he actually has access to the benefits administration in addition to information about himself, his team, and some actions that he can take, which we'll come back to in a few minutes. What you'll see here in the center of the screen is his to-do list or his actions within the organization. And it's a way for you to globally communicate within your organization or just communicate within members of your team. For example, you can send out employee news that expense reports need to be completed by a certain date, or that open enrollment is happening during a certain time frame. Those notifications can be sent out based upon roles that somebody's with is in, or to your entire workforce, or to certain locations. Those are all rules-based. It also shows some of the other actions that he has. He has some goals that he may need to complete within the organization. All of these are hyperlinks, social, and keeps track of what information he needs. This is fully configurable. So if you need to provide additional information on here, or you don't want employees to do that, you can change your menu set based upon that. I've now moved to the top of my screen, and you can see I selected the home button. You have other ways of communicating or accessing the system from here. You have another set of menus, or your same set of menus that you can also navigate to. And then you also have your reminders or notifications that you may need to take action on. You can take action on these directly from the cloud, or you will also be receiving emails within the system or from the system to your Outlook or other devices. If you receive it on your iPad or on your cell phone, you can take action on those approvals at that point, and it will update immediately. As I move into the role about, or Robert Jackman as himself, the employees can now take action on themselves and maintain pertinent information about themselves within the system. So this is all the information that the system maintains about the employee, and this is in this case Robert Jackman. You'll notice that there might be a little bit of information that's cautious that a Social Security number is available. Some of this information is only available to employees or to an HR specialist. Since I am in here as an employee and have an employee view, I do have my full access, so we can make sure that the system is up to date and own that information as an employee. As I move through on the left panel, I can also see information about myself and my history within the organization. I can see when my last promotion might have taken place, my original hire date, and any other periods of information. For example, you can see my overall change of history down at the bottom, as well as any absences and history of the absences that I've taken. I move back up. Moving down, I'm not going to go through all these screens just in the interest of time. We can't get into everything. We do keep track of some of the documents of record, so any organizational type details that you might want to do. Maybe you have some historical PDFs that you want to upload that's pertinent to that information. Employees or HR can do that. We then move into our Benefits Service Center, and this is where employees would be able to create life events. So if you have a new baby, or maybe you've done an adoption, that would be a life event that you could, at that point, change your benefits enrollment. Right now, it just is a view only, and it shows you what he has enrolled in at this point and what's active for 2018. Again, you can update benefits, dependents, which don't require life events. It's just an ongoing information on here. The next piece I'll move into is the pay. This, like I said earlier on the first slide you saw today, this is fully integrated with some of the other modules within the system. For example, payroll. So if you are running payroll with the HCM Cloud, all of this information would be available at the ending of your processing of payroll. As an option, if you are using a third-party vendor to run your payroll, you can also backfeed the information in from your third-party vendor, and employees can still see their pay slip and information around their pay details within here. This would be a PDF, but it does provide a single source of information. This would be the same if you wanted to backfeed some of your W-2 information. Employees can also maintain their direct deposit information, or if they want a live check. Also within the cloud, you can upload videos or maybe even include slides, so that if an employee, for example, in this area, may not know how to know what your routing information is on your check, you could create either a PDF or a Word document that they can view the information and have it right at their fingertips and not have to continually call HR for some of the information that they can own and know best about themselves. Next, in the area of the employee information, or they're talking about yourself, is compensation. So if there's something such as company stock, or you implement workforce compensation and you have employees get special awards, this all the information will be available to the employees so they can see the history of it over their life as an employee. This does not change, and it is static data. If I come over to the right, I also have some additional information that I can review and update information to. Across the top, I can also move in and create information about myself as employee information. I'm not going to update that today, but you can see that over the lifetime of my time here, I've updated or created information. This is similar to what you might be familiar with LinkedIn. You can show what your overall goal is, and can be changed and updated over time. You can show if you have any additional skill sets, and just want to make sure that your leadership also knows the information about you. As a fully integrated system, we have the ability to maintain and update goals throughout the life cycle. And this is not a goal setting that you have a period that you can only set the goals. It's more of what is going to as an industry trend. It's ongoing communication amongst your team members. You can also create a performance evaluation. So once you've completed those goals and you want to provide feedback, you can also do that. These are optional things that you can configure or turn on depending on what your business needs are. The last piece that I'm going to talk to today about as Robert Jackman, and then we'll move into what he can see about his staff, is being able to enter and maintain my absences. So you can see here that he has his calendar and what his normal work shift is. Monday was a holiday for him, but maybe he knows that on Friday he's going to be taking vacation. He can simply click and drag this information to Friday, and it'll create a pop-up. You can see my icon is coming up a little bit slow. My internet's not the best today. And say that I want to take a full day on Friday as vacation. I will save and close, and that will be sent to my manager for approval. If I wanted to do multiple days, I could have selected and put a different end date on that. Apologize for a little bit of slowness here. You'll see now that he's entered in his vacation, the color has changed on what it is. So even though he's scheduled, or his normal schedule would be an 8-hour shift here, he's actually going to be taking vacation. So now if I go back to my home screen, I'm going to switch my hat, or switch my role, and actually show you what a manager can see about his team. So if I actually go into my team, it's very similar look and feel as you saw within the About Me, or my personal information. I have the same access across the top and same icons, the goals and performance that we talked about. But I also see and can dive deeper into actually selecting one of my employees. You'll see within my employee, even though I say this is my employee information, it doesn't actually have my social security number or that private information. But it does have those informations about that you saw about Robert Jackman that has about me. So some of my roles and goals, the overall information about some of my interests and those details. So it's one stop that the manager can have access that maybe he needs a little bit more details or an ongoing communication plan on that. You also have the full work history of the employee. As you go through, you still have the same ones, the document of record. You can see any skills or qualifications that that manager has. You can actually scan the system or review the entire system to make sure that you have the work areas or building where the employee might need additional help. So you know if you want your HR area to maybe get some more training in communication, they would bring in specialists in that area. And again, you see some of the videos that can be uploaded at that point. And then I want to go one more area. This is actually in the goals. You can see at the goals area that the employee or the manager can see the employee's information. They only see the information or the feedback that the employee has done if the employee has set it to a status that the manager can see that information. Clicking back done, I'm actually going to go back in the interest of time here and go back and find Jack Oliver that Mike was working with earlier and has chosen to hire to the system. So he's now a pending employee within the system, but we need to actually activate him. So I can activate him by doing a quick convert up here, or actually I may know that some of his information has changed since we've talked to him last. Or I just want to make sure I confirm some of those details as I go through. So maybe there was a typo on the information that he provided, and once you get his I-9 form, you see that he was born in 1972, so you can update that as you go. The Social Security does come over if it was provided previously. I see my personal information. Maybe you can also know the work phone number that's going to be added or provided to him, so you can add those type of details across for him. You can start entering in the VA information that might be needed for reporting, for any of your legislative reporting. If the employee has filled out maybe a paper form and provided an emergency contact, you can provide that here, or leave that to the employee to provide that as part of their onboarding process and enrolling in benefits. I can either click next, or you can see I'm actually going to the train track at the top of the screen. The information here provides some of that profile information that we saw that Jack already had, or Robert Jackman had on his screen, but we now know that Jack Oliver has certifications or a license, can speak French fluently, and he has his SPHR. So all of those details are tracked and will be maintained on the employee record that the employee can maintain and update going forward. The next details you'll see is the employment information. This is the hiring record that you saw entered in by Mike on the onboarding process. So you can see that he applied for the Human Resources and was accepted for the Human Resources Business Partner. You can change or update any of this information at this point, but this was what was accurate based upon the onboarding process. All of this information, like the regular full-time, is part of your legislative reporting, so all those details do come into play. And then moving in, the final piece that everybody always wants to know about their employees, or what the employees where they're coming to work for you, is the annual salary. So that is something that could be maintained or updated as an HR specialist, that he can update those details. If you need an additional request of additional access, by default, this employee is only an employee coming in. He will not have direct reports, and that's what guides the manager self-service. But maybe you know that they need access to expense reports, and that's not something that you've configured that they automatically get. You can add those additional roles on there. So once he starts in the system, he can start having the direct access that he needs based upon the role-based security. At this point, we go to the review stage, and this is the last step before we have to actually converting him into a full-time employee and an active employee within the system. This confirms all of the details that you have entered in at the system, either during the onboarding process or as you've updated the record going through. You can see there's a lot of details, but this is the unique to you information that the employee has on their employee record. So no longer the personnel file secretive, or you don't know if the information is inaccurate. It actually shows the employee or what the employee will have access in the future. At this point, I can submit it. And as an HR generalist today, I do have access that this automatically approves, but this is a rules-based system that you can turn on approvals such that before somebody can, even an HR specialist can hire somebody, it might need to go through 2 levels of approvals. That is the same throughout the system. So each of your business areas, you might have different approvals for those workflows. And that concludes my demonstration of the HCM Cloud today. But I'll turn it over to Erica now and see if we have any questions.
Sure. Thanks, Danielle. We do have a few questions that have come through, but I just want to remind everyone, if you do have questions and you haven't asked one yet, on the right-hand navigation, just enter it in. And again, if we aren't able to get to your question for any reason, we'll be sure to follow up with you. The first question is, what mobility functionality is available?
As Mike showed in the system, it does allow you to have the ability to resize the screen if you pull up the link within your iPad or other wireless device. Any of your approvals do go, if you select and approve them or reject them from the mobile device, it does actually update the system immediately. Now, Mike, you might have some additions that you would want to add to that?
Sure, there are a couple other ways to do this. One for the candidate or for the employee, those are all going to be set up as mobile websites. But as far as users are concerned, there is an Oracle download free that's going to be on for Android or for iOS that will allow you to log into Taleo as a user and have capabilities as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is, can you provide more details on the reporting functionality?
So the reporting is based upon business intelligence, and there are multiple views that are available within the application that makes it easier for a generic end user to be able to click and drag and see the data. As a administrator or an admin within the team, I'm going to actually go one more step and go into what is the inputs within the application. These are reports or I guess views that you can deploy to your team and actually are based upon background reporting. The data that you see within this is roles-based, so if you don't have access to the full organization, you would not see all those details. But some of the neat things within some of these dashboards is if you see this little icon in the bottom right, you have the expanded view, and you can see more details around the employees or the details. And a lot of these are throughout. So it depends on what you need within your organization, but you can certainly build and deploy these fairly easily with pie charts and graphics that make it friendly and user ease for having information at their fingertips.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Can some of the information in a record be hidden from certain users? Example, offer letters, compensation information, confidential postings.
Sure, definitely you are able to set up confidential postings within Taleo, or I'm sorry, Oracle. Within the Oracle Recruit side of things, when we set up our configuration, we do have the ability to set up different page layouts for our different user groups, whether that's hiring managers, recruiters, agencies, whatever the case may be. Where we can set up those page layouts so if they do go into a record, they're not going to see offer information if we don't want them to be able to see that. We also have the ability to set up what are called list views so that when a particular user logs into the system, we can filter out all of the information in a list of candidates or a list of requisitions or a list of employees to only show those requisitions or candidates or employees that pertain to that particular user. Same with confidential posts. When we create those, we are able to put in filtering so that only certain groups are able to, user groups are able to see confidential postings.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. Next question is, can you discuss the learning component and features?
I don't know that we have enough time today for all of the learning component. Danielle, I'll let you try and do a quick high level on that one.
Yeah. So as you see within the system, you do have learning items. Learning items can be developed within the system, and I don't know that I have a lot of it out here today, but you can create learning paths that employees must complete certain learning by the end of a period, or you can have learning paths such that if they've completed a certain area, they might have competencies within those. But that's definitely something that we could spend an hour just talking about, if not longer, going through the new learning product that Oracle has provided.
Okay, great. Thanks. The next question is, this integrates nicely with Taleo. Does it integrate with other ATS systems to take advantage of the same functionality?
So yes, Oracle has APIs available that you can request access to so that you can feed information into Oracle from other products. It's not going to be as seamless. Obviously, if you're using a different company's ATS product, but transfer of information is still possible, whether that's through a custom integration or a standard type integration. Danielle, I'll let you talk more about file loading.
So there's HCL or the HCM data loader, but that's going to be integrations where, ATS is one example, but there's also other integrations that you might want to do for loading data between other HR products, whether it be an ATS or a lot of times, even though you might implement time and labor, you might have a clock that you have everybody punching in a manufacturing situation. Those are data loads that can be done either automated or on a manual basis, depending on what the business requirements are.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can Onboard be used for more than new hire paperwork, such as internal notifications to IT, payroll, and facilities?
Most definitely. So onboarding, it can be set up as a mid-boarding or an off-boarding product. So if we want to do those annual acknowledgements of different policies, we can definitely go ahead and send those out to our employee base through the onboarding product. If we want, we can also set up what we call off-boarding. Maybe you do exit interviews or have just simple checklists to get equipment back. Those are all definitely things that can be set up using the onboarding, offboarding module.
And sometimes companies have used the onboarding process as a method for annual compliance training that might need to be done. So back to that learning topic that someone asked, that's also an opportunity to use the onboarding.
Great. There's one more question for right now. Are there any ways of posting to multiple job boards that we have contract with through the Recruit module? Example boards would be Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, and others.
Definitely. With the Oracle recruiting module, there are a number of Oracle partner companies out there. We call them third-party job board aggregators. There's a couple of major ones that we can, I don't know if I can say on this call or not, but there are a couple of major ones out there that have integrations that can be added into Taleo so that with one click within your requisition, you can post out to multiple job boards based off of your contracts.
Great, thank you. If there's any other questions, please type them in. Give everybody another seconds here. Okay, it looks like that's it. Thanks, Danielle and Mike. That concludes our webcast. As a reminder, I just wanted to let everybody know the slides and the recording will both be available shortly on our website. We'll also be emailing them out to everyone that has registered tomorrow. And please feel free to reach out to me or any of the speakers if you have any additional questions or would like to discuss your specific needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.